Alright, so sometime last week, the world's richest man hit us with this gem of a tweet.
Reinforcing negative neural pathways via therapy or introspection is a recipe for misery. Don't cut a rut in the road.
But the main question that I'm going to be asking in this video is he really this dense and dumb? Or is he playing deliberately to people's worst sentiments to ultimately weaponize them? On this channel, I provide commentary on political stories that interest me, but also from my perspective as a young man navigating the world as a blue-collar worker. Okay, so back to today's topic. Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, and the world's richest man, depending on how badly he's messed up in the last week, recently told us his thoughts on a little thing called introspection. Okay, so to start, I often hear people referring to him as the world's smartest man just because he's the world's richest man. So if you needed a clear example of why that is not the case, then here you go. But let's talk a little bit about introspection first. Okay, introspection is defined as the examination of one's own conscious thoughts, feelings, motives, and mental states. So you could say this is part of just being an adult. Something makes you feel bad? Ask yourself why, and try to stay away from that. It's so basic to me that to misunderstand it so fundamentally can truly only come from sheer stupidity or malintentions. Like, come on, Elon, this isn't how we approach engineering problems, is it? Would we watch a rocket blow up in orbit 20 times and go for it at 21st without adjusting anything? This honestly cannot be how he actually feels. Now, I hate the guy, but for the interest of objectivity, let's try to interpret this tweet charitably. What he's noticing, and maybe trying to point out, is that ruminating on problems isn't the best for your mental health. But to frame therapy or introspection as ruminating on problems or cutting a rut in the road, it's so disingenuous when exactly the opposite is what's intended by those things. Let me explain this to you, Elon. We look back and reflect on our worlds to recognize and change patterns, not reinforce them. I always say this, but it's such a toddler way of thinking about the world. So I just recently turned 30, and it really has had me thinking so much about how I've changed and matured over the course of my 20s. It's almost as if at 30, I've finally lived long enough to kind of start recognizing some of the patterns of my own behavior, you know? So in math, they teach you that there has to be at least 3 numbers in a sequence for a pattern to merge, right? So you can see where I'm tying this into the whole turning 30 thing. For many people, introspection will come along naturally with age and experiences. So to think about the experiences that he's surely to have had over his 54 years of life and to hold this kind of view is just seriously only one word, and that is sad. But fuck that. I'm not feeling sad for that guy for 2 seconds because in all reality, it's actually pretty scary for all of us. The idea that the guy who has a huge say in what the future of humanity looks like is adverse to introspection is wild. So then we have to ask ourselves, what is this? Why is he doing this? And I think it's all a part of the same project as buying Twitter, to flood people's social medias with garbage and control their minds. But real talk, he knows that there's this giant segment of disaffected men that can be turned into an army with the right programming. Remember, Elon is the quintessential dude that watches Taxi Driver or The Joker and comes away with the takeaway that they were the victims the whole time, or idolizing the freak castaways. He's the guy in high school who feels left out, so he has to wait until he can take his revenge on everybody when he's made a bunch of money. So he really does tap into this strange antisocial rage that is manifesting today. That's why at the end of the day, I don't really think that Elon is this stupid. These people are just spin doctors, and they'll use their intellectual dishonesty to piggyback onto really any movement and radicalize you from it. Think about a guy like Tim Pool. Weaselly grifters just using your lack of knowledge against you. What these guys do is they sell you on their viewpoint of the world, knowing that most of their followers can't really come up with anything better on their own. And so they stick with whatever their authority figures tell them to think. Okay, so a little bit about me. When I was in college, I was a philosophy major. And one of the only things that you learn in that major is argumentation and kind of observing thought patterns, which is pretty much like introspection. Now, I'm not exactly making $1 million. I'm out here working in construction and spinning records. But these are extremely useful tools for living a happy life and ultimately detecting BS. So when the world's richest man is telling you not to think about your problems, that's the same bullshit as saying that immigrants are the reason that you're poor. Blaming others for your own problems. I always say it, it's in my bio. Real men are progressive, yo. Real men look at their lives and get better. Real men, they help out the downtrodden. Real men, they support pathways to citizenship for people all around the world that are affected by our foreign wars. And speaking of war, real men, they know how to talk it out. Oh, you think real men bomb little girls' schools? And in the name of peace, no matter? Elon Musk is a little baby. He's like the tired archetype of the divorced dad, sick of paying child support or alimony. And again, in alignment with my previous words, real men do in fact stick up for other men. So you know who I feel bad for? Single dads that are barely scraping by, in tough situations with the mothers of their children. But you, Elon? You have almost $1 trillion fucking dollars. Shut up and stop exploiting men's pain and suffering for your own nefarious ends, whatever those truly turn out to be, because we don't fucking know with that guy. Based off of what his social media platform pushes to new accounts, you can tell that the guy's got some crazy opinions of the world that he hopes to normalize and spread to the masses. Remember how he misappropriates this idea of a mind virus to vilify marginalized groups, when in reality, he's the biggest abuser of the weapon of the mind virus on his vile site. Honestly, I don't really have that much more to say. I could honestly go on and on psychoanalyzing this guy. And maybe I will one day. But we'll probably just let him put his foot in his mouth again and just respond then. As always, y'all, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comment section. And as I'm a new channel, please subscribe if you enjoyed the commentary and for future videos from me, the Blue Collar Progressive. I'm out.